Okay, I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the Lower Macungie Township Board of Commissioners to order. If we'd all please stand for a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, for the roll call, everybody who is supposed to be here is here. Commissioner Shoemaker is supposed to be zooming in, maybe not, we'll see. Both our planning director and our engineer are joining us via Zoom today. There are no agenda modifications. There are no announcements and presentations. So moving on to item number 6, hearings and approvals. 6.1, resolution 2023-50, approving a lot line adjustment plan for Lower Macungie Mixed Use Development LLC for the properties located on North Crocs Road. Mr. Jones.
Yes, commissioners, this is fairly simple and in a lot of ways just procedural. There has been a proposal for a lot line adjustment between the folks who are looking to do the North Crocs mixed use, which has a conditional use approval, and the diocese under the authority of the cemetery there for basically a lot line adjustment. A large chunk of it has to do with what they need to do for a development plan factor for the buffer in the road. But for the cemetery, they're actually looking for the land as well to put in, I believe, some maintenance facility like a shed or something along those lines. So it's a mutually agreeable plan. I told the applicants that this was a minor enough issue that they wouldn't need to come and give a big presentation on it. It's really just a land swap between the two entities. It's been reviewed and recommended for approval by the township engineer. I'll let Brian speak to that a little bit more. But we looked at it internally, and there's no issue. Again, this is very simple.
Let's get
Nate, you said it was a land swap, but all that's shown is the part.
I'm sorry, a lot line adjustment.
Okay. Because I didn't see the other half of the swap.
Fair enough. My apologies. I think I used the wrong terminology there, but it's a lot line adjustment, and there is a transfer of real property going on. But it is a private deal between both the cemetery / diocese and the developers.
Move to approve.
1 second. Mr. McAdam, anything to add?
No, Mr. President, as Nate said, it's pretty straightforward. We do have some drafting comments in our letter that need to be addressed prior to recording, but this is, especially considering the project that this is, for the extremely harmless little project. So not a problem. I'm confident that the revisions can be made without changing the intent. So yeah, not a problem moving it forward.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-50, approving a lot line adjustment plan for Lower Macungie Mixed Use Development LLC for the properties located on North Crocs Road. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 7, public comment on non-agenda topics. Is there any public comment on non-agenda topics? Good evening. Just come to the podium up here. I just need to sign in your name and address. Thank you. And then if you just state your name and address for the record as well.
My name is Mary Ann Boone. I live at
Could you
Just pull that a little closer. Thank you.
4255 East Texas Road. I've been living there since 2003. I have a problem. My neighbor's fence is on my property. I brought my survey to Lower Macungie And my house was built in 1928. So I have senior deed around all the people that are around me. And I'm having a problem with Lower Macungie telling my neighbors to move their fence off my property. It's not only a fence, I have river rocks that are there. And I need Lower Macungie to do something about it. I came, I showed him my survey, and it shows that the neighbor's fence is on my property, plus a retaining wall. So what do I do?
Mr. Vital, are you aware of this?
I am, and I can
Okay.
provide an update.
Sure, thank you.
So the individuals have been in, they've spoken to the code office, both Mr. Tranguch and Mr. Delara. We do have a private party civil matter between two property owners. At this point, it would be in their best interest to engage with their legal representative to work out any solutions they may have with their neighbor. At this point, the township really has nothing we can do between those two neighbors as they are working through their dispute with their survey.
There is no dispute in my survey. Excuse me, but I have a deed from 1928. So code enforcement should make the people move their fence.
Yeah, and with these property matters between two neighbors, at this point, we would continue to advise that they seek their legal remedies available as a property owner between them and their neighbor.
And just, Mr. Solicitor, what enforcement arm do we have as a township in something like this? If, just say, one property's been there longer than the other and a fence was constructed, can we pull permits? Can we look that way in terms of any?
I don't
that way?
know all the facts.
Okay.
If the fence was put in without any permits or zoning approvals, the code enforcement office could get involved.
Permits were pulled for the
Okay,
fence.
just, ma'am, I'm asking for our attorney for an opinion. This isn't really a conversation. We're trying to help you.
Oh, okay.
Trying to
I'm
help you.
sorry. I thought I
That's okay.
could. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
If it comes down to a trespass
Mhm.
of your neighbor putting a fence on your property, yes, that's a dispute between two private parties and they have to work it out. And if not, hire lawyers. We get this a lot, just so you know, not fences on people's property, but stormwater diversion onto people's property, all kinds of private disputes. And that's just not what the township does. Having said that, I will talk to Vince and I'll go over exactly what was permitted, what wasn't permitted, and go from there. But sounds to me to be a private dispute.
Why do we have codes then? What's the purpose of having codes and pulling permits?
Well, codes and things are done for safety purposes, not for someone. Technically, what the solicitor is telling you is this person is trespassing on your property. That's a civil matter, so it's a legal issue. I understand the frustration because I would have the same frustration if I were you. What we can do is we can talk to our code enforcement officer and look at the permitting. If they were granted a permit to put a fence on your property, that's a whole different ballgame. But unfortunately, and as the solicitor said, this does happen often. A lot of times it happens with driveway easements and rights of way because people over time, as houses change, are told different things. And I know what you're saying your deed says and what the survey says. I don't doubt that. Unfortunately, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that is treated as a civil legal matter to where you would actually have to sue your neighbor for trespass.
But I'll tell you what, I educated myself over the years because I've been coming to you guys about this problem about the retaining wall a long time ago. And that's not Pennsylvania law. Pennsylvania law is if somebody puts something on your property, they tell you to go to your local municipality. And here I am. There are codes. What, I pull permits for everything I have done on my property. So if I don't do it right, I get told about it. Well, this person pulled the permit and you're on my property. So why can't Lauren McCungy come and say, look, you're on their property. Why should I have to I spent thousands of dollars to get my property surveyed. I knew where my line was. I told my neighbor where it was. They did not believe me. I had consulting do my first one, which he did it wrong. So I had to get another survey done. This has cost me thousands of dollars. And I get no help from you guys. There was no permit ever pulled for the retaining wall. Never got pulled a permit.
What we can do for you, this is your first time coming to us with this.
No, it's not. I was here before and the solicitor shot me down. And they said it was a civil matter, there's nothing you can do. But everybody I talk to says, why don't you go to your municipality? Here I am. And you guys don't want to do anything. I called when they were building that retaining wall. And I called Lower McCungy and I said, you need to come out here because this retaining wall is ending up on my property. Nobody came out to look at it.
When
So-
was the retaining wall put in?
Oh, back in 2012 or 2011, I believe. And I called and I've been coming and I've been complaining and nobody wants to do anything for me.
Well,
God forbid if
Again-
I would do something wrong.
again, it's not that we don't want to do anything for you. We're trying to help you. Now, if the last solicitor told you that it was a civil matter and this one is, we can't try to make up a solution, but what we can do is we can talk to Mr. Tranguch, find out everything that he's done, the whole process as it's played out, and get you an answer. And again, I don't know who everybody is who's telling you to get your municipality to do this.
Let's see, my lawyer, a lot of people.
And your lawyer hasn't suggested suing your neighbor at this point?
It's gonna cost me a lot
I'm
of
just-
money.
I understand that. I'm just saying, has he suggested that route as well?
He told me to come here first. He said, I'm trying to save you some money. They should help you. He said, it's a code violation. He said, I'll tell you what happened. I told me I had to change my deed in order to get a plan from them. I said, I'm not changing my deed for you to give me a survey plan. That's not the way it works. I had to educate myself. And I had to go back and forth with this man. I had to get an attorney to get my plan from him. The neighbor wanted to widen their driveway and they couldn't. So I get the person that's get taken out on. I can't help that. But I had to pay money to my attorney to get a plan from Ott Consulting. They finally gave it to me. I looked at it. I said, this thing is absolutely wrong. They finally admitted it. I had to go to another surveyor and get a survey done. And it shows that their fence is on my property. Not only their fence, but all their river rocks are there, plus the retaining wall. So I already showed the survey to Vince. He looked at it. I brought it down to him. He was supposed to get back to me. He said he was going to talk to the solicitor. I haven't heard a word from him.
I'll make sure that I speak to Mr. Tranguch tomorrow. And then I will call you with what we can or can't do.
Thank you.
Okay?
But I'm hoping that you guys can help me because I'm a taxpayer. I pay my taxes.
I understand that. And you're not the only one. I can feel your frustration, feel your anger, and I don't blame you for that. But I'll do my best to get an answer and come up with a solution for you. I can't promise it's going to be the one you want, but I will make sure that you hear back from me tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay?
Ma'am, what's your address again? Could you
What-
just give me your
Just
address?
Tell me your address again. Your address.
Your address.
4255 East Texas Road.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments on non-agenda topics? Seeing none, there's no communication this evening. We have no appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. Approval of minutes of our previous meeting, 10.1, October 5th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 11, approval of transfers, bill list, and payroll. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. We have the following this evening. The general fund, $135,497.17. The sewer fund, $518,016.79. Capital projects fund, $35,980.09. The payroll, $161,316.68. Developer escrow, $34,229.06. For a total of all funds, $885,039.79.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to departmental matters and reports. Engineering, Mr. McAdam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had submitted the engineer's monthly report, details what we've got going on. I will also add that the various MS4 projects that were underway are nearing completion. That was the 3 different swale projects, as well as the other Brandywine swale project that's been going on. In addition, the sewer lining project for 2023 is nearly complete.
Any
And-
questions for the engineer? Mr. McAdam, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Planning, Mr. Jones, 12.2.1, Resolution 2023-51, approving a security release for Posh Properties.
Yes, for the Posh project off of the newly named Charcoal Drive for the storage facility and the Kitty Academy. They've received their certificate of occupancy. In fact, we had a staff level meeting today noting that a punch list is put together for this as well. This resolution calls for the release of just under $200,000, $199,557. That would leave us with just over $351,000 for the remaining public improvements. All the work's been certified by the township engineer. Happy to answer any questions.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions for the engineer? Oh, I'm sorry, for the planner. You can ask the engineer. He won't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I
Okay.
will.
And any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 12.2.2 zoning hearing board appeal for Hamilton Square, 5329 through 5373 Hamilton Boulevard.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the board know we have an application before us for the zoning hearing board meeting next Tuesday. It is for a drive-through bank for drive-through ATMs. This is the lot that's right across from the Taco Bell and hopefully future office building where the Arby's was supposed to go. The applicant has actually purchased a couple of the other lots there. You've seen that it's been cleared. This would be a large bank with a strip center. We've had a couple of sketch plans in front of us at the Planning Commission. We continue to provide comment that this is in our West Coastville district. We have strong design guideline standards. We're trying to get away from the strip mall style, but also there was a concern with respect to the drive-through since it's not allowed. Our intent is to, as staff has discussed, and we presume that the board agrees, is to attend the zoning hearing board meeting next Tuesday night in opposition to the variance, upholding our standards for trying to ensure that no more drive-throughs go into Hamilton Boulevard in that area, increasing the traffic. So we just wanted to update the board on that. I'm happy to answer any questions, but the solicitor and I do plan on attending that meeting unless directed otherwise.
Okay, just any questions for the planner?
A comment.
Sure.
That, okay, on that site before they had proposed a couple of strip mall buildings on each side. And they're and before the planning commission, there were questions associated with the traffic circulation and so forth. The proposal here is for a bank. Yes, it has a drive-in, but the volume of a drive-in at a bank is substantially lower than the volume of a drive-in for fast food. And in actuality, I think it would be a good use for that location. That the volume of traffic to a bank is very small. And much smaller than any kind of commercial use that would be put in there. So I would support the bank with a drive-through for the bank. And I don't think it's necessary for the staff to attend the zoning hearing board meeting.
Other commissioners' thoughts on this? This is generally a staff-driven decision, but we do have a commissioner that is opposed to it. So anybody else in favor or opposed to opposing this development? I guess this part of a development.
I'm not in favor or opposing it, but I do appreciate the heads up that they're going, because I do attend zoning hearing board meetings, and I did miss one recently because I didn't know that staff was going. And but I do appreciate you letting us know for this one.
Commissioner Ward?
Yeah, again, I do agree. We do have our viewpoints and our procedures and ordinances for the boulevard. So I don't object to staff.
And Commissioner Shoemaker's not on. Generally, I don't disagree with what Commissioner Robert is saying. However, if staff feels this could become either a precedent or, by them getting a variance for a drive-through of any kind, that it could lead to other drive-throughs in the same area, that would concern me. So I don't oppose staff going in opposition. Okay.
Just the way this is set up, just for your benefit. Nate is announcing a decision amongst staff to appear before the zoning hearing board to challenge a variance. You can vote against it. You can certainly say, we don't want you attending that zoning hearing. I hear it's 2-2 right now, so I don't know what you do with that.
No, 3-1.
3-1. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was 3-1.
Oh, okay.
Robert.
Just to explain the other criterion hearing that's going on, the reason I'm there for that is because that was a challenge to an enforcement. Vince Trangooch cannot appear before the zoning hearing board without a lawyer. So there's a difference between the two. One is an applicant asking for a variance. The other one is an applicant challenging Vince's enforcement. It's two different things.
And I didn't question that. I agree with that 100%. It's nice to know staff is attending, because I show more interest than in going.
Sure.
And in the past, we used to vote on whether to send
Yeah,
staff or.
we had changed that a little while back to making it a staff decision with notification. And it depends on, I'm a believer in the rights of landowners. However, if it's going directly against zoning that we've spent many hours trying to craft and perfect, once, there's a leak in the dam, it can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden you have, 145 or MacArthur Road, and we don't want that, especially in that area. Commissioner Robert, go ahead. Another comment.
Well, I just wanted to ask Nate, do you think this would provide precedent for fast food restaurants to be able to get drive-ins, drive-throughs?
I think we've held the line with drive-throughs since the new ordinance came in play. The concern amongst staff, as we continue to advise the board on this matter, is that we continue to hear that there is a desire from businesses that would like to conduct drive-through business in a multitude of fashions, and that would go against the West Coastville commercial district. So Obviously, we are trying to maintain a certain feel of that area, but also address the traffic on Hamilton Boulevard. And while I'm not an attorney, I do know that if relief is granted once, someone will certainly come and try and seek it twice. So.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
Commissioner Robert, there's no question that developers and their attorneys know what various zoning hearing boards do. And you could guarantee they would come in here and ask for the same variance and and cite to this as precedent. And a lot of times the boards roll over.
And we did see that.
Yeah.
We've seen that numerous.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Jones?
Nope, all set. Thank you.
Okay, solicitors report, Solicitor Bruman.
Nothing this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the solicitor? Okay, Township Manager, Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. Just a reminder, item 14.1, the other budget workshop is Monday. We've added I think it's 2 or 3 brief topics for actual workshop agenda as well before we get into that budget side of it. So just wanted to say we kind of need a workshop for one thing and then the budget part for
So
the
it's
rest.
a combination.
It is a
workshop.
combination.
We're trying to be efficient. I like that.
That's all I have unless there's other questions.
Okay. Any questions for the manager?
But just one question.
Yes.
We talked about it earlier.
Oh, yes.
The open space fund, is that included in the spreadsheet that we were to look over for the total budget monies and what we would like to see done?
Yeah, it wasn't in the, I listed a lesser amount in the 7-year on behind the letter. But the budget part will have in that tab, we'll have a fund balance component where you can get that overall number.
Let's just, because there was some confusion about this. The open space fund or the open space preservation amount. 50% can be used for, or 50% can be used for purchase. I mean, 100% can be used for purchase if we decided to, but 50% for purchase, 25 for maintenance, 25 for improvements
And you would take that formula per each year.
per each year.
Correct.
And
So
That's the difference.
a
Right.
$2 million receipt of earned income tax, 1 million could be split then 500 for maintenance and improvement.
But each year it's $2 million that's collected in that fund.
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
there's 500,000 available for improvements. There's 500,000 available
Well,
for maintenance.
How
If-
much is debt service?
Correct. Notwithstanding the debt. So the debt is 1,785,000. So your remainder could be part of your percent.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So
As Commissioner
whatever,
Roberts
it's-
said.
Yeah, it's just under $1 million. I mean, when I say just under, not $5.
It's about 250,000 that you would have remaining available, which could be used
Right.
on either one of those because you'd be under your percent, if that makes sense.
And how do you differentiate maintenance and development?
I would say I'll use my layperson's terms. If nothing existed on there before and we built a pathway, that was an improvement. If there was a pathway there and we had to tear it out and fix parts of it, that's a repair. If a playground never existed and we built a playground or a parking lot, that's an improvement. And replacing a playground structure is a repair.
Okay.
Any other questions for the manager?
But just to clear for
Yep.
me, so what's the dollar amount that can be used for open space improvements?
So if you would, the township, our earned income tax generates approximately $2 million for that. Over the 5-year period, that's about $10 million worth of receipts. So if you look per each year of the 2 million, 50% of that can be used for things other than the purchase of land. Of that 50%, only 25% can be used for one or the other. So you can't spend 50% on improvements. You can't spend $1 million on just improvements. You would have to spend 500 on improvements or 500 on repairs, if that makes sense. So even if you had the money available with our debt, payment of 1.75 million, that leaves you 250,000. So technically that falls under your 50%, actually you're 25%. So you can spend that any way you would on maintenance or improvements at that point.
But in reality, just so we're clear here, we've designated 1.75 for debt service.
Correct. For land we've purchased.
We don't have to actually do that.
Oh, we do because we have a bank note. So we have to pay that bank note back for
In
the
a
next
certain
5
amount,
years.
in a certain amount of time.
For the next 5 years.
Right. What I'm saying, my point being is if you decided to take $1 million this year, 500, but next year, the whole 2 million went to debt service.
Except the bank would call in our note and we would be in
Oh, so it has
trouble.
to be
We owe them 1,750,000
per year. not just-
per year for the
Okay.
next 5 years
That-
as part of the land purchase. So you,
Okay, cool.
So if I got it, it's $250,000 next year.
correct. And I'll put some confusion in there. The township did have to sell parts of the Dorney property to the Turnpike. So you actually you have a $600,000 bank from the proceeds of that land. So it's actually 600
Plus 250.
plus the 250.
That's where the.
Yeah.
That's the
That's where that
confusing
number
part.
came.
Yes,
Got that, it's Lower McGungy Road,
correct,
Correct.
Wiener, the Thorny property.
correct. Hopefully that makes
Yep, no.
sense why you have a little more
Does
money
now.
in there.
Now it makes. I missed that.
Okay.
Thank
Any other questions for the manager? Okay, other business. Is there any old business this evening? Any new business this evening? Board of Commissioners reports. Mr. Vitale's already updated everybody on our workshop scheduled for Monday, October 23rd at 6 p.m. It'll be a combination of normal board workshop as well as the final budget workshop. And then our next regularly scheduled board meeting is November 2nd, 2023, 6 p.m. We do not have any executive sessions this evening. And with that, we are adjourned.
Good night, all.
Good night, guys.
Bye.